Overseas now, the US and Russia have vowed to keep diplomacy alive, following talks aimed at preventing an escalation of tensions centred on Ukraine. The US Secretary of State met his Russian counterpart in Geneva and agreed to provide written responses to the Kremlin's demands. But the military build-up on both sides continues to mount. Europe correspondent Nick Dole reports.
While these talks might have been aimed at preventing a military conflict, the West and Russia do increasingly appear to be on a war footing. Here in the UK, the government has sent some troops to Ukraine to provide some training. That is on top of anti-tank missiles that arrived in the country earlier this week. And every day we're seeing more examples of Russia showing its military might. It's moved surface-to-air missile systems into Belarus, which neighbours Ukraine. It's also released video of bombers performing drills over the Arctic, and it says it's sending some fighter jets into Belarus too. Now, Russia insists that these are for drills, but it does add to a tense atmosphere. And it's against that backdrop that the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Geneva. Mr. Blinken was again trying to clarify the US's position after President Biden earlier in the week suggested that a minor Russian incursion might be met with different consequences than an outright invasion.
We've been clear. If any Russian military forces move across Ukraine's border, that's a renewed invasion. It will be met with swift, severe, and a united response from the United States and our partners and allies.
Ukraine's forces are also massing in the country's east, fearing a Russian invasion. Russia denies it's planning an incursion. That's despite previously annexing Crimea and some 100,000 troops being moved into position along Ukraine's border.
100,000 troops, most recently including forces deployed to Belarus. That would give Russia the capacity, if President Putin so chooses, to attack Ukraine from the south, from the east, from the north.
Russia's demanding NATO scale back its presence in Eastern Europe and move troops away from its western borders. And it doesn't want Ukraine to be able to join NATO either. Sergei Lavrov says the talks were frank but useful, and he's hoping emotions will decrease, as he puts it. He says he's now waiting for a detailed US response.
We've finished our talks and we are getting written responses to all our proposals next week.
The US says this wasn't a negotiation, but rather a frank exchange of views. But Antony Blinken says there is still hope that both sides' concerns can be addressed without a major escalation.